Welcome, welcome. I am GPaw, and this is an ISO 8 beginner's guide video. We just unlocked it here on my new account, my main account, my only account, level 55. And it throws you in and it walks you through like a guide and kind of shows you the difference when you equip ISOs to a Luke Cage and stuff, and how much damage he can actually take, how much it deflects when he has certain ISO 8s equipped and such. And then it takes you through a walkthrough for Shield Medic on how to equip them and what the different ones are. It's gonna make me do it again. I already did this. Awkward. So we're just gonna go through it here. Essentially, it's gonna have me come up here. Boom. Equip. And then it'll equip them all for us. And they each take a different one. As you can see, they have different symbols. They each take a different one, and I'll explain that more in depth here. But it has you go in, and it kind of talks to you about your own personal prisms and etc. And you got different of these stats, and I'll break them down here for you. But it's going to make us equip Healer, which is what you should equip to her anyway, because she's doing healing. So it just gives her passive heals that she puts out regeneration, increase her overall healing done. It's actually really, really awesome. So if you're like from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and you're trying this out, this is your mods and stuff essentially. Alright, lady. But while I'm here, okay, it wants me to do something else. No, we're not doing that. I don't want to do that. Okay, okay. Okay. And use ions to fuse them. Okay. We don't want to do that though. Leave me alone. Alright. See, these are different ones. I don't know. I can't see a support, damage, ISO 8. Then you click. This is your focus, health, your resist, and your armor. It takes those specific pieces to upgrade these. So when you're farming, you're going to want to pay attention to that if you're focusing on one person. And I'm going to use Icarus for my example here in this video. Well, if I can never find him. Yep, there he is. Alright. So ISO 8 unlocked. And I kind of want to come in here and break it down. Blaster. So his role, his trait is Blaster. Right here. Blaster Resist. I'm going to equip that. It gives you passive bonuses here as well. If you want to know which ISO to equip, or which most people use, you can go on MarvelStrikeForce.com and do ISO Confidence. And it'll actually pull up what they recommend, which is just based off players putting in their information on what they're using on their character. But I'm going to give you a few tips here as how to break it down. So you can hit find, and you can find them in the campaign where you can fight a certain amount of times, as well as the store. Which it wasn't in the store, so it didn't bring up the store. I'll show you. Supply. So over here we got our ISO store. And you're going to realize you're going to have a ton of these brawler ones that you need. You're going to be so short stocked on these. Blasters I never ran low on, but as you get further mid to end game, blasters become more relevant. And it seems they put out a lot more blasters of late, but a brawler is one of the biggest bottlenecks in my personal opinion. Controller would be second, if not tied. But you can see how many you got here, how many you own. And there'll be times I'll buy them actually, like for these, depending on if I just need one or two pieces and such for my character. Alright, so it brings us to our campaign, ISO 8. And this is how far I made it with my team, and I'll show you here what team I'm using. And it's just what I had for global, only global characters. I have these two leveled up for Gamma 3. I got the Brotherhood Shield lane, so I'm leveling my Brotherhood. Plus, it's one of the first two teams I want to max out with Magneto, because I love the Brotherhood. Obviously, Spider Weaver, they gave her to me for free. I'm going to use her. Gambit gave to me for free, and Killmonger I got from the raid store, and I'm investing him because he does 3 of the Flash events. So, and you can see there's a ton of characters here you got opportunity to use. Wolverine would be great. I mean, Black Widow, Captain America, any of these. Taskmaster for mercenaries, you could level up, and it doesn't take much investment. I'll actually show you what my investment in them is. So obviously my Mystique's pretty large. Spider Weaver's alright. My Killmonger is only at 5,000. I was able to get this far. Now, the only difference on how far you go is like what it drops, like blaster piece. And if you actually click on it, it's the blaster damage one. And this is the controller armor one. So, depending on what you need, these cost twice as much per fight. It gives you a better chance at dropping more of these, but I wouldn't do that. Personally, I leave these for last, in my personal opinion. I'd rather do these ones that cost 12 and focus farm certain pieces. And you'll see they just drop different things like support, your protector focus one, and you go and find the ones you need. What I really do in here mostly, unless I'm focusing on character hardcore, which I don't usually do early on, is I focus on gear. And I'll come in here and get the extra gear I need. So if I'm running short on something, I'll find it, like mutant, these fireballs you'll probably get a bottleneck on, if you're spending especially. Mutant again. Tech. Mystic. These health ones you'll run out of as well. And I usually get a lot of mutant gear from here. Because I level a lot of mutants, so there's a lot of mutants in the game. Chapter 2. It's just different gear, but it's the same setup. You just play through it. And usually the nodes I do most is this one here for my brawler. And right here for my bio syringe. And these are huge. There actually used to be a blue syringe in here you could get. Let me see. There it is. That's why I do that node, is for the blue syringe. And you'll see I only own 57, but all the Spider-Man characters, Spider-Verse, use it. And these are just characters I have unlocked that use it. And there's like another 15 Spider people that I could unlock that'll use this syringe. So it's a huge, huge bottleneck. And that's why I farm these 2 nodes like every day, constantly, no matter what. My first energy goes to these 2 nodes. And that'd be a big tip for me personally. Now I do want to talk about Icarus and kind of explain how I go about doing this. So what I do is I look at their kits, I go to their ultimate, attack all enemies. So he's hitting everybody. I go to the second one, attack primary and adjacent targets, and all adjacent targets. So that's 3 hitter. It's hitting 3 people. His basic, he's attacking for this. If Cersei an ally, he's in a bonus attack, so he's hitting twice. He's hitting multiple times on every skill. Well, for the ISOs, dang it, why did I even back out? My bad. Let's come in here for ISOs. Striker makes you do an extra attack, and it enhances your damage, so it's going to make you put out more damage. On primary hit, if the target is vulnerable, make a bonus ISO attack at 50% damage, and it gets stronger and stronger. But you also gain a base damage to your damage, and that's why Striker's huge. If it's damage, character that puts out a lot of damage, you're going to want to have this generally. But when they hit multiple characters, the other option is Raider. And I'm going to show you why here, because it says on active ability crit, apply 1 vulnerable up to a maximum of 3. So if he hits 5 characters and he crits on them all, they all have vulnerable. If he crits on 3, the 3 that he crit on gets vulnerable. And that's giving you enhanced crit chance as you level it up here through the stats. It's just insane. And he hits hard already, so if you get that extra crit and he guarantees crit, he's going to be pumping out those vulnerables. And you're saying, why do I want the vulnerable? Well, the Striker is a big one here. If the enemy is vulnerable, you make a bonus ISO attack. So if I had Striker on Icarus and I attacked a vulnerable target with his basic, he's already going to attack, do a bonus attack for his basic, and then he's going to get a bonus attack for 50% damage. And that damage continues to grow up to 100%. And it gives you base damage. So he'd get a 3-hitter instead of a 2-hitter. Striker's really good on characters that apply negative effects, and I'll show you that here. So on the basic, a better one to show would be like right here. If you ran him as Striker on his basic and he hits somebody, he's going to clear 2 random positive effects and apply defense down and bleed. So he's going to attack, he's going to do that, and if they're vulnerable and he's a Striker, he's going to do it again and apply defense down and bleed again, as well as clear 2 random positive effects. So you're getting his bonus effect twice now. So it's huge. And that's why you'd want to run characters that do this type of stuff, applying negative effects, turn meter characters on their basics. You'd want to run a Striker. But definitely I would run Icarus as a Raider, because he just hits so many people. Even on his basic, if he hits and he crits, he's going to apply vulnerable. and he's hitting them 2 or 3 times, 3 times, 5 times, you know what I mean? So I'm going to be running Raider on Icarus. Now, obviously you could run him as a striker, and I don't think you'd be wrong for doing that, but it also matters about your team comp. So if you have 5 characters, and you're applying vulnerable, right? If you have no strikers, nobody's going to take advantage of those vulnerables, okay? And that's a huge thing. So Fortifier, it simply puts barrier on your character. Barrier at spawn, on turn, barrier yourself for 3% of your max health, and it continues to get stronger and stronger. T2 level 3, gain minor defense up for 2 turns, plus 5% barrier on spawn. And it gets pretty insane. If this character has barrier, gain 40% drain. So they also got a life still, but this is a long way. This is in game right here. But barrier is good on tanky characters that are going to get hit a lot, or characters that have a lot of max health and are going to take a lot of punches. People I could think of would be like Thanos, Rhino, Luke Cage. Those would all be decent fortifiers. You could use it. Obviously, Thanos can put out a lot of damage. So depending on what team you're running him in, you could use Raider or Striker. Healer is just going to enhance your healing abilities. So on turn, you're going to apply minor regeneration to the most injured ally. You're also going to gain 5% active healing. And what that means is when you cast a healing skill, like say heal all allies for 20% health, it's going to increase it by 5%. And as you can see, you're healing the most injured ally for 5% of this character's max health, gain another 5%, you know. Gaining max health as well as gaining 10% active healing. Eventually it gets up to like you're healing them huge, and I actually think the max heal you can do, I want to say, is like 35% or 30% or something like that. It caps out at barrier, caps out at like 30% of your max health. So if you have a 500,000 health pool, you can get 150,000 barrier to absorb damage and such. I don't know if the heal caps. I think it does though. But as you can see, it gets to the point where on primary hit, if the target is vulnerable, clear 1 bleed or minor bleed from your most injured ally. So you're cleansing debuffs and stuff when you get to the tier 2 levels. Healers, you know what I mean, in the right situation is wonderful. Now Skirmisher is built for applying vulnerables. So on primary hit, apply vulnerable to primary target. These effects can also occur during assist or counterattacks. So you'd want to put it on somebody that assists or counterattacks a lot to put out vulnerables. Now obviously Raider is going to apply your vulnerables. Skirmisher is not really that great. On primary hit, if the target is vulnerable, you're going to clear a positive effect. So it's a way to put that on a character to cleanse positive effects off your enemies. So Skirmisher will come in. It's very cliche or clicky, or at certain situations. It's very situational. You're going to gain huge focus with Skirmisher as well if you're having a problem applying your effects, which you shouldn't, because anymore it's built into their kits a lot of times for certain characters on big abilities that they have like 100,000 focus. And it always hits, okay? But this can change a damage character to a control character, you know what I mean? Clearing positive effects and applying negative effects, such as bleed and stuff. And on the final level, it's going to give you 20% damage, so that's going to help a little bit. The Skirmisher, in my opinion, you're usually going to run Raider, Striker, or Healer. Healer is usually oftentimes put on like your control characters and stuff, as well as Skirmisher. Fortifier is barely ever used. And if you ever have questions, come into Discord and we can all work together to try to figure one out. But my biggest tips are when you're looking at a character, he hits everybody, hits 3 people, and he hits 1 person 3 times. Raider, he's going to punch out a bunch of damage, do an extra bonus crit damage, as well as apply vulnerable. So let's look at somebody else in a different situation. So right here, for single target damage, I'm going to look at her ultimate. Attack primary target. Okay, that's 1 target. I'm going to go to her special. Gain defense up, offense up. Heal self, attack primary target. Rebound to 3 adjacent targets, or adjacent enemies. So this is going to hit 4 people here. We're going to go to her basic now. Attack primary target for 130% piercing. If this character is at or above 25% health, bonus attack. So she's going to get hit people on a certain situation, but it's a single target essentially. As are most of these skills, 2 out of 3. So if you're only hitting 1 person, but she's a damage character, you're going to want to go Striker to apply more damage to her single targets, right? You could run Skirmisher, so she's applying vulnerables, as well as clearing positive effects off them. You know, so Skirmisher is definitely viable here as well, if you have a Striker on the team that can take advantage of them. but I'm probably going to run her as a striker myself for more damage. She does, her single target damage is pretty sensational in my opinion. But that's kind of how I look at it. I just go through their skills. If primary has death, attack all enemies. So he's hitting everybody. Attack primary and adjacent targets. He's hitting a ton of people. Attack primary target, chain to one adjacent target. So he's hitting a lot of people. Raider is an option. You could use Raider here. But as you can tell, he's also applying a lot of negative effects on all of his skills. He's applying negative effects. And I don't see a lot of focus built into his kit at the moment. So you could definitely, and to clear those negative or those positive effects, you know, you need focus and stuff. You could run him as a skirmisher to apply those vulnerables, as well as clear positive effects and get that extra focus, you know, to apply them. Apply these negative effects. So I might actually recommend running him as a either a skirmisher or a striker, in my personal opinion. And it kind of depends on the team you're in. You don't want to run 5 raiders. That's kind of weird, you know. It does happen with X Factor, but they're all, you want to run them all as raiders because they all crit like crazy. And on crit, they get barrier to protect themselves. So you just want to run them as raiders no matter what. But that's kind of how you want to look at ISOs and stuff. And that's kind of the basics. And you just farm them daily. You'll get free ISO energy from your energy refreshes every so often. You get free 80 energy to spend here. And there's a daily objective where you have to spend 400 energy. Obviously, you want to do it because it gives you a ton of great loot as well as points towards your strike pass. If you're a spender and you got cores, I would refresh the energy personally for 50 cores. I have not yet, but I'm going to do it here once so I can get to that 400 energy. You will get free refreshes, like on your regular energy, you'll get 50 of these right here. And it will actually allow you to refresh it instead of using power cores, usually every day, if not every other day. So to push further into this, I would level up my global characters. Right now I'm just going back and auto-winning stuff to get that energy spent. I'm not focus farming anything. So I just wanted to get that done. Boom. And that helps a lot because I do have the strike pass. And there's an event going on right now that you might want to be refreshing your Isolate campaign energy. 450 core refreshes, you definitely could. I don't have Crucible unlocked, so I'm not going to get very far in this event. So I'm just getting what I can get for free here at the beginning for spending the Isolate energy I got, is my plan. I want to finish this off by opening up some orbs here in the ISO campaign. And this is just stuff I've collected from playing the game until I unlocked it, and then this all comes open to me. So it's going to give me a ton of the pieces at random to be able to equip, which is wonderful. And you need 3 of them to make a level 1 crystal, or a level 1 upgrade. I'll show that. I do believe it's 3 of them. I'll go and equip some here in a minute. So this is just the ions. We're looking for that 100k. 34 to 100k, 10 to 25k on the sides. So you're at least going to get 54,000 at minimum. Open 10. 540,000 is the minimum I could get. I almost got bare minimum. That's terrible. I almost got the minimum for 10 and I only opened 7 orbs. So that was a great drop there. Alright. So I'll go over my roster here and I'll equip a few to kind of show it off. So he has all 5 able to be equipped. Yeah, it takes 3 of them times 3 to make a 1. And then it takes 9 of them, I think, right here. Maybe not, though. We'll look. Equip. Boom. So to go to level 2, I need 3 more. That's weird. I don't understand how that worked. And then it's 9 for the level 3. 27. The 5th one is 81, which is quite a bit of these. So taking them up to level 3 or 4, usually, I'd say no higher than 4. You'll be alright. And 4 usually gives you some pretty big perks. If you look here, like, I'm going to run him as a raider. In level 4, he becomes war ready. For in wars, war ready characters get boost. As well as he's gaining 10% max health. So that's pretty huge, honestly. And that's usually where I'd recommend you try to get him to. And you can always change later if you need to. So if you pick Raider right now and you want to change it to Striker or Skirmisher later, you absolutely can. But it costs you Ions, so I wouldn't recommend doing that too often. As I'll show you right now, it's free to equip one. So I just gained 15% crit chance, which is awesome. Now to upgrade, it's 5 and then 15, and then it gets to be a lot to go to like tier 5. And if you get into the blues, you definitely want to try to stick with one thing. But you can come in here and click this, and like right now I can come over to Striker and I can hit select for free, and it'd be level 1 for free. But if I want to level it up, it's going to cost me Ions, and these will be a bottleneck eventually. At least they were for me in my past experience. I want to run him as a Raider, and I think I'm going to run Skirmisher on Cersei, honestly. Alright, that's all I got. Definitely comment down below anything you can help add to this conversation. Or if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I read through all my comments. Otherwise, much love, stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the next one.